Step into the turbulent world of Tudor England, where power was fragile, loyalty was fleeting, and one man's desperate pursuit of a male heir forever altered the course of history. This is the story of King Henry VIII and his 6 wives, a saga of love, ambition, betrayal, and survival, remembered in the chilling rhyme, divorced, beheaded, died, divorced, beheaded, survived. The tale begins with Catherine of Aragon, daughter of Spain's Ferdinand and Isabella, a princess trained from birth to rule and endure. Originally married to Henry's older brother Arthur, she was widowed young and later wed Henry himself, cementing a powerful alliance between England and Spain. Catherine gave Henry one surviving child, Mary, but no sons, and as years passed, Henry grew restless, convinced that God had cursed their marriage because she had once been his brother's wife. Catherine, dignified and devout, refused to accept divorce, leading Henry to defy the Pope, split from the Catholic Church, and establish the Church of England, reshaping religion and politics forever. Yet, despite her unwavering loyalty, she was cast aside, forced into lonely exile, and died heartbroken, but not broken in spirit. Her daughter Mary would one day inherit her iron resolve. Into Catherine's place stepped Anne Boleyn, perhaps the most infamous of Henry's wives, a woman of wit, charm, and fierce ambition. Unlike Catherine, Anne refused to become Henry's mistress. She demanded a crown, and Henry, obsessed, gave her one, making her Queen of England. Anne bore him Elizabeth, who would become one of the greatest monarchs in English history, but her failure to produce a son left her vulnerable in a court riddled with enemies. Whispers of witchcraft, adultery, and treason spread quickly, and Henry, his passion soured into rage, ordered her arrest. In May 1536, Anne walked to the scaffold at the Tower of London, dressed in ermine-trimmed gray, her dark eyes defiant until the last moment when the French swordsman struck her down. Henry's grief did not last long. Within weeks, he married Jane Seymour, Anne's gentle and obedient opposite, who promised peace and, most importantly, the prospect of a son. Jane gave Henry exactly what he longed for, a male heir, Edward. For this, Henry called her his true love, yet fate was cruel. Within days of childbirth, Jane fell ill and died, leaving Henry genuinely heartbroken for perhaps the only time in his life. Her brief reign secured her a place of honor in Henry's memory. He chose to be buried beside her when his own time came, but the king still needed alliances, and his advisors urged him to marry again. Thus entered Anne of Cleves, a German princess selected through a flattering portrait painted by Hans Holbein. When Henry finally met her in person, he was appalled, mocking her as the Flanders mare. Their marriage was never consummated, and within months it was annulled, though Anna's shrewdness saved her life. She accepted her new role as the king's beloved sister, kept her wealth, and lived comfortably while others faced the executioner's blade. Henry's next choice proved far more dangerous. Catherine Howard, a teenage cousin of Anne Boleyn, burst into Henry's court with youthful energy, charm, and flirtatiousness. The aging, overweight, and ailing king was enchanted, but Catherine was reckless. Rumors of lovers from before and during her marriage reached Henry's ears, and unlike Anne of Cleves, she had no safety net. In 1542, she was executed at the Tower, trembling and terrified, just 19 years old, a tragic victim of both her naivety and Henry's wrath. Finally came Catherine Parr, Henry's 6th and last wife, a mature woman who had already been widowed twice before. Unlike his earlier wives, Catherine was not chosen for beauty or alliance, but for her wisdom and stability. She was deeply religious, intelligent, and compassionate, and she played a critical role in reconciling Henry with his daughters Mary and Elizabeth, ensuring their place in the line of succession. Catherine also nurtured young Edward and provided stability in Henry's declining years, even publishing books under her own name, a rare and bold act for a Tudor queen. Unlike the others, Catherine Parr survived, outliving Henry and going on to marry again, though she too would die young, shortly after giving birth. Together, these 6 women formed a tapestry of resilience, ambition, tragedy, and endurance, each shaping Henry's reign in their own way. Catherine of Aragon gave him faith and dignity, Anne Boleyn gave him Elizabeth, Jane Seymour gave him Edward, Anne of Cleves gave him peace and friendship, Catherine Howard gave him passion and scandal, and Catherine Parr gave him reconciliation and care. And Henry, driven by his obsession with legacy, left behind not only 3 children who would each rule England, Edward VI, Mary I, and Elizabeth I, but also a story that remains one of history's most gripping dramas.